Hey guys, welcome back to SWRUManga's weekly podcast series. This is episode 4. Welcome. With me here today is once again, as always, Sari-chan. Say hi.
Konnichiwa. I should have it nyampasu.
Decide on the introduction.
I don't have one. This is why you always lead.
Okay, so on the docket today we have a Flare project, and along with that, of course, is the blog post that was posted up yesterday by our resident blog post writer / blogger / whatever. The title is
whatever he says.
Yep, Swajan. Which is about the villagers in the Flare project world. So last week's is kind of soldiers, and this week it's the ones who are protected.
It's the villagers themselves, what they do, how their lives are, what their outlook is like. Things. Basically kind of building the picture of a society.
Yeah, and it's like the foundation of like where the main characters and such kind of grew up in. So we really tried to work hard to create this environment for them to develop and grow in that feels real and has its own kind of bit of culture, how it kind of operates, its processes and such. So yeah, we'll be covering that in our first segment. Then maybe it's a good time to mention that we are really going to try to shorten down our podcast, because some people have said they're a bit rambly, plus with YouTube in general, people prefer shorter videos. As always, if you prefer longer videos, say so. We do really want feedback on the kind of layout of our podcast, and we're really flexible on how we do it.
Yeah, essentially because we're winging everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you prefer like a long 2-hour thing where you can just shove your headphones in and just like knuckle down at work or something, then give us a shout and we'll reevaluate. But yeah, for now we're gonna do a slightly shorter podcast, and then actually split off some of the topics we discuss in the second segment, and then we'll release those throughout the week, so you guys will actually have content on 3 days instead of just like boom Sunday and then nothing on YouTube for the rest of the week and then Sunday again. So why not give it a go? Life's all about trying out new things, right? After our first segment, we will be talking about... What are we going to be talking about? No, I know. We'll just be covering Flare project stuff, I guess.
For the main podcast. For now, that's the plan. We might change things up later on. See how things go. But for now, the main podcast is mainly just for Flare project.
Yeah.
And the shorter videos will be other things.
Yes. So, let's get started. The world of Flare project.
Yet to be named.
Hint,
hint, nudge, nudge, Saru-kun. Get on that already.
Names are hard. Okay. Well, so the residents of the village itself. So Chan, do you want to kind of do a little bit of intro on that?
So as we mentioned in our previous podcast and previous blog, and again in this blog, I feel like I'm being a bit repetitive with this, is that the community is a really small community. It's a small village of around 200 people, and you're already aware of what their situation is like from the blog post before. So it's a very hunter-gatherer sort of tribal society, really. So they all sort of work together to do all the things that the village needs. So like gather herbs, berries to use in food and medicine. They all live in like small wooden huts. And so, as we discussed previously, the monster hide is fireproof. And so what they do is, if monster hide is available, then they cover the houses with and
so in terms of the monster hide being fireproof, that's sort of quite relatively a new idea that we had.
Yes.
Yeah. So
did I mention it in the blog post before this one?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Probably not.
Yeah, with the monster hide, we decided that it would be interesting for the villagers to have an extra use of the monsters that they slayed, other than just like food and using their blood for some kind of resource. Because in a hunter-gatherer society, you would use every part of the animal that you could.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that idea came from. Unfortunately for the village, they don't have enough
for everybody to do
for everyone to do it. So some huts and houses will have it and some won't.
So the way I thought about this was that even though only some of the houses would have them, not all of them, I don't think it would be a point of conflict, because like how to explain. So because what would happen is that they'd probably get people who are closest to the outskirts of the village to cover up the houses first, because they're at most at danger and stuff. So I thought it wouldn't be something that would cause any kind of, I don't know, arguments or feuds between families.
No. I think the kind of leader of the village will help to decide kind of who gets it, but obviously it does make sense for the most important people in the village to firstly get that kind of defense, and then those huts which are in front of at the front of the village as well. For the kind of community, it's not so we decided actively for the naming convention in the village to only have first names, because the society is so small and they don't have time to really bother about like surnames. And they never had surnames.
You belong to this family and you belong to that family. And
everyone's just like in one big family. No one really thinks of each other as separate families, really. So everyone just goes by first names. And the way that the village has come to be, some of the people there never had a surname before. Some, I don't know, may have done. But in this village, they all go by just first names. So it's quite tribal in nature. They rely on each other to live, and they don't really have time to worry about.
This in no way is because we just don't want to think about last names. This actually has a narrative reason.
Yeah. I mean, we could do surnames, but there's no point to it.
Yeah, there's no
point. So it feels like it's unnecessary guff. In terms of kind of the hierarchy of this society, it's quite flat in the sense that everyone's kind of on the same level. The soldiers are slightly above them because they have the ability to fight. And then above them is like their teacher, which is fine. And then above them there's like the... So it's relatively flat in that way. There's no kind of like everyone who's civilian. So they're all civilians, they're all the same. There's no like head of civilians, for example. They're all the same. Yeah. Everyone's like similarly valuable because they can all provide to the society. They can all provide to the village.
Somehow, in some manner.
So with the small size of the community, everyone cares about everyone, everyone knows everyone. All the births in the village are like hugely celebrated.
Births? Births? You said births.
Oh, sorry.
Births.
All births are celebrated by the entire village. So it'll be a gathering and a bit of a feast.
A bit of a feast.
Yeah.
What you can count as a feast in this society, I suppose.
We also had an active think about kind of the marker, kind of checkpoint birthdays, birthday ages. So in real life, we have like, typically it's like 12 maybe. You get like a bar mitzvah. I believe.
No, but that's in Jewish tradition, and
Jewish
that's
tradition.
normally in age 16, I believe.
So there's various ages for like when people turn into adults. So typically we have, have a beer with your father or something.
Yeah, like every society has its own sort of thing that they do. For example, Japan, they have one at like 3, 5, and 7.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
they have that. And then over at the West we have 11, because we do the 11 plus exams in the UK, and then we have 16 and 18 and 21. So this society also has one. The first one being at age 9, because age 9 is where they first get tested for magic, to see if they have the magic that they need to use as soldiers.
And then after that will be 18, which is the age of adulthood. And then we just decided, since it's 9-18, we'll just go in kind of... Oh, you okay?
Sorry.
SWRUManga is still ill.
This is my life now. This is my life. This is my life now. Just constantly coughing and clearing my throat.
Going in segments of 9 years, so 36. Do your 9 times tables, I guess. Yeah. So at 9, they get tested for magic. Well, it's not a formalized. They kind of gather the open, and then they are instructed by the teacher, the main teacher of the soldier, of kind of the basics of trying to harness and bring out that potential that they may or may not have.
Yeah.
One thing that I really like is that it's not only the children who go there to try and be initiated. So adults and even the elderly will come together, and they so wish to help and come and find that potential for that gift, even though they didn't have it the previous year
or the year before, or when they were
so some of these elderly people may have and for 40-50 years have done it every single year because they want to so help defend the village more than they can. So it's an emotional scene where everyone kind of gathers. People help the elderly down the steps to the village square, and they all line up and they go through the same instructions that they've been through loads of times, and they all try really, really hard and follow the instructions. And then a couple of the kids might actually have that potential, and by now the elderly people aren't bitter or jealous anymore, and it's just a celebration that there are some which do have that power that they can harness to help protect the village. But yeah, it's quite a community event. Everyone gathers, and it's a celebratory event afterwards as well.
Although I think it does get through.
Yeah.
This would be quite, we can make it quite emotional.
Yeah, because as the children are brought up, they're kind of taught to aim to try to have that potential, which it's just something they have inside. And the parents are like, you need to, we hope one day, like we haven't been able to. So sometimes the kids might have that kind of pressure at home. It's since the society is so based on like hunter-gathering and being able to protect the village, they hold that potential to kind of defend the village in a high regard. And
there can always be side characters who, they can have parents who said that, you might not be a soldier, but you're helping us.
Exactly, like because the soldiers go out so much,
lives all the time.
Obviously, people need to keep the actual village running,
which is what I said in the blog post.
Exactly,
that the soldiers protect the village and villages do everything else.
Basically. The villagers, after the soldiers are done hunting, typically the villagers will come out and help bring back the slayed monsters, and they'll help out with the gathering of the resources and the processing of the resources to make them into like food, whatever.
Yeah, medicine, other things, utensils.
Yeah, and so the villagers typically do this in small groups.
Yeah.
They will go out and collect berries. They will chop up firewood. They will collect herbs for salves and such. And with them, they will be accompanied by a couple of I keep dropping it. Might as well. The screw it. The soldiers are called flares. That's it. It's out there. Done. So I can stop to semi.
I sift to drop that.
Well, shit happens. Alright. They're called flares.
They're called flares. We're not gonna say why they're called flares.
Yeah.
They're just flares.
They're called flares. And you know, that's that one of the reasons why it's called Flare Project for now. So the flares go out and help the villagers, help protect whilst they do their thing and collect stuff.
I mean, then they'll normally be slightly lower ranked flares because the area's already been sort of cleared out by the
Field ops
mission beforehand. So it's not high levels of danger. So because it's lower levels of danger, they go out with slightly lower ranked flares.
So it could be those that are less experienced or those which just aren't that high leveled.
Yeah, they just haven't reached field ops level. They're just slightly below it. That's why.
Yeah. And yeah, that's how they kind of do that activity generally. In terms of kind of what the village does on a day-to-day basis, it's awfully boring if it's just work. If you think about normal society, we have things that we do for leisure. Entertainment,
culture. Yeah. Well, of course, all of those will exist despite them constantly being dangerous. Like, you know, even during war times.
Exactly. People are humans and humans get bored. So for our community, for our village, we have people who are doing tribal chants, maybe singing, dancing. There'll be battle reenactments. So when the flares come back from a mission, they might tell stories of this amazing thing that they did, this huge operation, or the dangers involved, and they'll retell that to people. And then those people will be inspired perhaps, and then reenact those in almost like a stage production.
And you know, like past sort of like legendary stories of like, you know, there being a raid on the village and how the flares helped protect it, and you know, but all the great things that they did, all of those get passed down by word of mouth from generation to generation, and they retell those
exactly
to try and keep that hope and, you know,
their history almost. Their history alive.
Keep it alive.
Keep it alive, and you know, it's interesting and inspiring for the children to hear those kinds of stories as well. Us humans love a good story. That's why, you know, fiction and such is such a huge deal to us. Like we place ourselves into stories, and we take something out of the stories as well. That's pretty much how we work, basically.
Or, you know, we find something that we want to aspire to be as well.
So yeah, that's they tell stories. So in that way, we can also kind of do a little bit of peeling back the curtains a little bit in terms of when they tell the stories, it'll give a bit of insight to the history of the village, kind of the previous events that might have happened, and it kind of helps to fill out the world.
Make it seem more real. Do all of this, but there are a couple of things that the civilians don't take part in. So, and that constitutes the making, and Havan does all of that.
Havan and
or apprentice or help. We haven't quite decided on if it's just one helper or a couple of helpers yet.
But there's some kind of intricate things that need to be worked out, and the skills Havan possesses are kind of only he knows for now.
Yeah.
And
then the way the weapons used also involve some alchemy and using the monster blood in whatever ways that they are used. That is also involves some alchemy. So only the alchemists and Havan really work together on that. Civilians don't take part.
And the main force of alchemists, they reside in the dilapidated castle tower that's
also the watchtower.
That's also the watchtower that we mentioned last week. And in the top of the tower lives the kind of a village leader. He lives there. And then below him will be the alchemists, and below them will be the soldiers, flares. Yeah, and the main teacher. In terms of kind of just the normal maintenance of running of, a village in a very rural area. They don't have, like washing powder. So they need to use what they can find. So in a way, this is actually quite smart, and we reckon that's how people really did it in real life, where they take like nice smelling flowers and kind of soak them in the water that they have, bubble it up, and then wash their clothing in that to make them smell nice, not like mud and blood. Exactly.
I mean, then again, there are people who apparently pay quite the good amount of money for muddy clothing.
That is, yes. Yeah, you saw that this week, didn't you?
Oh God, what was it? Nordstorm? Is that what they're called, or Nerdstorm?
Nordstorm.
Nordstorm, selling jeans that look like they're covered in mud / shit.
Yes.
Selling for like $400.
Yeah. What is fashion anyway? It's like they even like actively have manufactured it to be it looks beaten up. It's got like patches of squares where like it's been torn, and then it's gone this disgusting mud look on them. So, and they're like $400 plus. So you're paying a lot of money to look like you have not a lot of money.
Yes. There was one that was like red around the crotch area, and I was like, did this person...
Oh my god. Oh god.
I mean, the moment I showed some of my friends, and they immediately were like, oh, is that caked in period blood?
Oh god. Viewers, I'm so sorry. If you were eating or something.
Oops.
Good god.
I'm sorry.
Thank god I didn't see that one. Bloody hell.
There were so many. Anyway, getting back to Flare Project.
Yeah.
Are you going to have trouble drinking your coffee now?
I mean, it just looks like mud, thankfully. It's not red. Oh, Jesus. Right. So, does education exist in the village?
No, we actively decided no, because it doesn't contribute towards their survival, so it's been pushed back in terms of priorities. Everything is kind of taught by just showing and by word of mouth. Flare training. See, I've completely kind of trained myself to only say soldier training when I'm on the podcast. It's fine.
They know it's all the same now.
So flare training is really the only form of formal education, quote unquote, that exists. Literate.
Yep.
And are we going to talk about them now, or are we going to talk about them at a later date?
We'll talk about the actual kind of how he came to be in a later date.
Okay.
For now, he is the...
it's a male character who's literate.
I mean, I think it's fine to say he is the village leader.
Okay.
He has helped... The reason why he is the leader is because he's helped the village so much. And he is the only one literate, but the village hasn't really developed culturally enough to reach that level of kind of like where they're so safe all of the time, where they can pursue academic feats or academic progress, I suppose.
Yeah.
So for now, it's really kind of like, great, we can survive, or oh great, some people got killed.
Oh dear.
And it's just literally about survival, hunting and gathering.
Yes, it's not like, they don't really care about, having the literacy. It's just they don't have the headspace for that. But it's something they strive to achieve in the future, where they'll have enough peace and quiet to be able to pursue it.
So I think that actually covers off all of the kind of villagers' activities.
More or less, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be quite interesting to listen to. Hopefully that's quite an interesting bit of insight to how our village and world kind of revolves, how it kind of works, what the processes are. Kind of gives a bit of a backstory to the world that the main characters live in. So with that, should we kind of have a bit of a break and then come back and reassess what to talk about next?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Cool.
See you guys back in a bit.
Yep, see you in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back after the commercial break.
SWRU-chan and SWRU-kun are back and refreshed.
With more coffee.
With more coffee. I'm having tea.
With more coffee and tea. So, hopefully you guys...
Milky tea.
Milky tea.
As I said in my blog post, milky tea/coffee is love. Milky tea/coffee is life.
So, hopefully you guys enjoyed our first segment. SWRU-chan is taking a nice big slurp of her tea. So up now, we're going to have a little bit of a segment of the SWRUmanga's life this past week.
Yes.
And
we're going to talk about ourselves, because who doesn't like talking about themselves,
And yeah, our anime segments will be covering later this week.
They'll be going up during the week.
So you guys will have, as we said, little bits of content throughout the week. Instead of just Sunday big chunky 2-hour hits.
Yes.
Cool. So this week I had a really weird incident on the train.
Ah, yes.
So
you told me about that.
Yeah. I was sat down and there was...
You had a seat during rush hour in a London Underground. Job well done.
I know. And as we got close to the station I get off at, some people were getting off. The lady who seemed... but then as she kind of started walking towards either the door or the seat, couldn't really tell, she stopped kind of like shaking, and then one of the strangers was just like held onto her hand, and most people were like, oh, is she like dancing or something? I don't know what's happening. And then she just kind of kept shuddering. And then other people started to realize that something was wrong. And turns out she was having like a mini kind of like seizure. And as she kept like shaking, she kind of like slumped backwards. And unfortunately, some people caught her. Like, I wanted to help. And this is by no means me being like lazy or whatever. But she was already crowded around by like 4 or 5 people. So it's not like I could have helped anyway. But yeah, they kind of just like helped her stand back up. And she kept like shuddering. And then as this was happening on the train, the driver of the train started to close the doors because he didn't really know what was happening.
Well, he does. Of course, he doesn't know.
Exactly. So people just started smashing like the alarm button.
Mm-hmm.
And then the train stopped and they helped her get off the train because at least in London, we're told that if someone is ill on the train, to not hit the emergency button, but for them to continue the train towards the next station and then bring them off of the train for help to get to them. So at least in this occurrence, they hit the button to make sure the door stayed open.
Yeah,
and then they helped her off the train.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite freaky because it's just like, oh my god, there's nothing I can really do to help. There's this lady who's just like having, this like fit. And it's quite scary. It's a little unnerving to know that humans are like quite weak in a sense.
I mean, when you like randomly told me about it, I didn't quite know how to feel. I was like, do I ask you if you're okay? Do I ask you if the lady is okay? Or like, it just, I don't know if I found it unnerving or worrying or interesting or what. I was just like, oh, okay. So, do people in movies do seizures quite well?
Yeah, so...
Is the depiction good enough?
Yeah, so, it's a little morbid, I suppose, to talk about it in such detail, but it is, like, actually quite fascinating to talk about. So, in movies, when an actor is doing a seizure scene or, like, having a fit or something, at least in this case, the lady who was having the fit, she was quite cognizant of what was going on. Like, her face and her eyes seemed to, like, be just as, like, weirded out as, like, the bystanders were. Just, like, eyes wide open, just, like, what's actually happening to me? And that's quite... Like, I hope she's okay, like, sincerely. But, yeah, she was just, like, as confused, as scared as, like, the rest of us were. Even though she was experiencing it. And it's at least in some movies, the depiction is like eyes glazed over, rolling back in the back of the head, and just like uncontrollably like shaking or having, that seizure.
Sorry, I'm just popping my knuckles as you talk.
Yeah, at least in this case, it wasn't like that. And she didn't seem to like... I suppose maybe in the movies, like, it's to depict whilst they're unconscious. But this time it was like her very, very conscious. Yeah.
So she was fully aware of what's happening to her.
It definitely seemed like
well, not fully aware, but like, something's wrong with her.
Yeah. And in terms of like physically how the body like kind of seizes up and such, it was pretty much how they do it in the movies.
Wow.
It was quite very similar. And then and thankfully they got her off the train and she got kind of medical assistance immediately. Hopefully she's okay. But yeah, really weird to see that in the morning on the ride to work. That definitely woke me up.
Do you know, like,
freaky.
as you talk about it, all I can really think about is that in the trains that we're following, the train that we are experiencing some minor delays on the district line from here to here because of a prior passenger incident at enter tube station name.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, but once I was sat there, I saw this lady sat next to me on her phone, and like she didn't get up to help either because there were so many people.
Yeah.
But as this was happening, her phone and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be late into work. There's a lady who's ill on the train." Sigh. And I was just like, "Lady, you're kind of a scumbag." And like thankfully
somebody's having a seizure in front of me. Oh, the inconvenience.
Just like, oh god. And then at least thankfully the person she was texting seemed like way better of a person than she was, because the text that they sent back was, "Oh my god, are they okay?" And I was like, oh, at least this person's friend has a good head on their shoulders.
I know, but you're reading over somebody else's text next to them.
I know, but like...
I am disappointed, Saru-kun.
Fine. But it's like, lady, what? Like, just at least pretend to care and watch. But no, she's just on her phone, just like, texting.
Sigh.
So yeah. That was weird. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, what else happened in our lives?
I've had a very slow, boring week. I don't know, at work it's been the slowest week yet, and when Friday came around I was like, thank God, I cannot wait to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing really much for you?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not
Well,
really.
I got a haircut, as Chan definitely can tell.
Yes.
I had like super long hair, like in my eyes,
Yes.
tear length, and now it is gone.
I mean, the
They-
front's still fine,
Yeah.
but they really went to town on your sides and back, didn't they?
Yeah, like I showed them a picture because like I'm kind of like that. I can't really just say like give me the short back and sides and just trust them to do it. So I typically bring a picture of kind of the hairstyle I want, and then I show it to the usual person, and they're quite good at their job, and they usually go and they know me because I always go there for my haircuts. And so I trust that guy to do it well. But this time the guy was busy with another person. And then there was this other person who I'd never seen before. He's a new guy there. And he was like, here's an empty chair. Come sit down. Let's do your hair. I was like, usually I ask to see the guy, my hair cutter, hairdresser. But fine, I'll let a new man into my life. So I was like, okay, fine.
First world problems.
And so I sat down and showed him the picture. He saw it. I could tell he saw the picture. It registered in his mind. And then he was like, okay, fine. He then put clippers on to the shaver and then just rammed into the side. And by then I was like, oh my God, that's way too short. It's too late. He's done one side of it. So he has to do the other side.
Just had to go with it.
Yeah,
and
then
let the pieces fall where they may.
yeah, and then obviously
maybe not the pieces, just the locks of hair.
Yeah, and then with the sides done, you obviously have to make the back, similar.
Match.
Yeah, so it's a bit shorter than I desired, but at least it's like getting. I'll let it grow out a bit longer.
It will grow back quickly anyway.
Yeah, my hair's like really quick at growing. It's annoying and also not annoying.
Speaking of haircuts, I need to cut my hair. I've got split ends.
Yeah. Yeah, so
do you ever get split ends?
I don't
or is that like a girl only problem?
I don't know. I just don't think I let my hair grow that long. I let it grow long, but it's not like girl length. Yeah. And obviously after you get your haircut, the first wash you do of the hair, you just like, okay, here's the usual amount of shampoo I use on top of the head. Oh God, it's too much. Oh God, it's too much. It's too many bubbles. And then after,
it's all over my eyes now.
Yeah. And then you wash it out, and then I'm like, okay, I need to condition, splooge. Oh God, there's too much conditioner. Why did I not learn the first time with the shampoo? Damn it, I'm an idiot.
Indeed you are.
Because, I'm used to, using a lot.
Certain amount of,
Yeah. So that's my hair story. Yeah. What else did we do? Oh, we went to quite a nice kind of like rib place. They do meat.
It's
basically.
a steakhouse.
It's a steakhouse.
The steakhouse.
It's
called Bodine's.
And yeah, we've learnt the kind of difference between the ribs that we got.
Yeah, I had no idea what the different... Like, I knew they're all called different names, but I don't know which one is which.
Yeah,
now I do.
So here's a pop quiz for you guys. Can you tell us the difference between spare ribs, baby back ribs, and Jacob's ladder ribs? If you do know, great.
Pat yourself on the back.
Pat yourself
Both
on the
sides.
back.
1, 2.
Yeah, because we had no idea, because we're idiots.
Or, we just...
Never took the time to Wikipedia it.
No, spent too much time with our noses in books rather than...
Yeah. So, yeah. So the answer to the question is... that baby back ribs kind of suck. They're like, well, at least the restaurant that we went to kind of sucked. So they're quite like small. They're quite small. Not that much meat on them.
Yeah, and they don't really come off the bones easily.
Yeah. The spare ribs were like much bigger, and the meat just like slid off the bone. Very, very nice.
And it had a good amount of cartilage as well. I like myself good amount of cartilage.
And the Jacob's ladder was from a whole different animal, from
beef.
pork. It was from beef.
Jacob's ladder is
Jacob's
beef.
ladder is from beef. It was ginormous. If you want to have a lot of meat on it and it's really satisfying to eat at,
Probably best to get Jacob's ladder.
definitely give Jacob's ladder a bit of a look, at least on Google or something, because it was delicious. Very tender meat. Very, very good indeed.
Although there was so much meat in what we got, I'm kind of off red meat now.
Yes, we are.
I mean, like by the end of it, we were like, can we get like tonkatsu ramen without any of the toppings? Just the broth and noodles.
Just give me just soup.
Just some soup.
Just some nice soup, please.
Yes, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah. We also had like burnt beef ends. The name always weirds me out because they do burn it a little bit, but that's kind of the point.
But it's also like, you know, most definitely slightly carcinogenic.
Yeah, not ideal, but it's good. Was there also some like pulled?
There was some pulled pork.
Pulled pork. That's very nice. That's always very nice. But yeah, it's not really super affordable. It's like once
we were surprised. Like when we saw the receipt, we were like, we weren't planning it for this to be this size.
Yeah, just like that's my spending money for like a month.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid going out for like 2 months now.
Yeah, but yeah, it was nice. If you get a chance to go, give it a go. Yeah. What else did we experience this week?
Ooh, so at work we have this like store inside the building, and they have like different stuff there. And I saw these, like thin biscuits.
They could have like did some ASMR stuff.
Oh god!
Just like, can you tell what it is?
Please stop.
Yeah.
So it's a Swedish brand. Of
Supposedly. It says Sweden's most favourite pepparkaka. Pepparkaka.
It's supposed to sound a bit like paper cracker.
Ah.
Pepparkaka.
That's clever. That's cute.
I'm guessing the Swedish word is pepparkaka.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like paper cracker biscuits, and they're cappuccino flavoured. And
yeah.
But
yeah,
like
they're in like a little like flower petal shape almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because they're so highly numbable, you just go through the pack and at the end of it you're like, what? I finished the entire thing. Shit.
So yeah, the brand is
Anna's
Original. We're not sponsored by them, but please sponsor us if you if you are part of the Anna's Original company. They're so delicious.
Stop.
So yeah, let me just have a look then, or not.
Is it?
It is, that's a customer contact that's in the UK. Brand, no.
Nope.
The website is annas.se, which is Sweden, I believe. So yeah.
Seems like it.
Seems legit.
Swedish.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bit of a blurb at the back, actually. Some things you just don't change. A lot has happened since Anna Carlson baked her very first. Are you
actually going to read this entire thing out?
No.
Good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got like a pretty logo.
By appointment to HM, the King of Sweden.
Wait, Sweden's a monarchy?
Apparently, according to the biscuit packet.
Exactly how far our word knowledge expands.
I know more about the Flair Project world than the real world.
I think the same goes to me. I mean, I only this is going to sound so terrible, because Switzerland is really cold. That Switzerland is like northeast Europe. But I only recently found out that it's actually like nestled between Germany, Spain, and Italy. And I was just like, oh, so that's where Switzerland is.
Oh dear.
And I was doing it while I was, doing a piece of work. Work. It's just like, oopsies.
Yeah. Well, any other interesting things happen in our life this week?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, as I said, I had a very slow week.
I mean, I uncovered a very old bottle of deodorant from 2 years ago or something.
It should still be usable.
Deodorant doesn't go off.
I mean,
it is just.
They do have a use by date though.
Really?
I have no idea.
But
if it's only 2 years old, it should be fine.
Yeah. So the brand is Lynx. Sponsor us. Someone sponsor us. Lynx.
Ugh, ew. Please, I do not want Lynx as a sponsor.
Yeah. I don't use Lynx usually, but
that was a gift, wasn't it?
It was a gift from, it's one of those typical man pack gifts where it came with just like the Lynx body spray and the Lynx shaver. So, yeah.
It could have been a troll gift. It could have been like, dude, you need to get laid. Here.
Ouch. Use Lynx. Maybe. But yeah, that's kind of my week, our week. Have you had anything else from you?
No.
No?
Oh, I made some tteokbokki.
Oh yeah, so Sarah-chan here is quite into Korean food, at least giving it a fair shake.
Hey, I'm into all kinds of food. Food is everything.
For people who don't know.
It is spicy rice cakes. I quite soft and squidgy. And I like what you call unyu.
The unyu factor.
Unyu factor. So it's like when you bite into it, and it's kind of like more kind of drags out a little bit.
Yeah.
Only cheese is not as jelly-like as rice cakes.
Yeah,
and I like the jelly-likeness of it.
Yeah. So my phrase for it is the unyu factor. So one day
I have adopted it because it's cute.
Yeah. So
unyu.
One day we want proper Japanese mochi.
The New Year's ones.
The New Year's mochi, where people like use hammers to pound it out for like half an hour or something.
Oh,
it's quite labor intensive. You might have seen it in some animes or manga if you've kind of. They show up in.
It definitely showed up in Minamike. In like the New Year's episode where they drag a little bit into their mouth and then slurp it up and they're like, careful, not to choke on it. And then what's her name? Aki?
Yes, I think.
Is her name Aki?
I think so.
The one with the twin toes.
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
She like chokes on it.
Yeah, so because they pound it out with hammers for so long.
Oh no, her name is not an Aki, because Chiaki is the youngest one. And then
anyway, so they bite into it, and then as you drag it, it just like stresses out. And so I called that the unyu factor because that's kind of the sound I imagined it would make as you put it. Unyu. So yeah. Anyway, tteokbokki. So it's rice cakes and fish cakes, right?
Fish cakes, yes. So a spicy sauce.
It's the what's the sauce called? It's like the
no, you make the sauce, but they use this paste called gochujang.
Yeah, gochujang,
which is chili
sauce.
Paste. Yeah, it's quite nice.
It's quite nice, and obviously you can make it more sweet or more spicy.
Because you put sugar in as well and soy sauce.
Yeah,
it's really simple to make. Literally, it takes like 20 minutes.
So yeah, it's quite nice. I've tried it. It's very nice. So yeah, definitely something to try if you hit up a Korean restaurant at all. Yeah. Any other good Korean foods?
Nothing I've tried making.
But bulgogi is also very. It's very nice. So it's like
grilled beef meat, and you wrap it in lettuce and gochujang paste.
Yeah, weird. I never thought it would be wrapped in a lettuce leaf. Which was quite weird the first time I tried it.
But it's really nice.
It fits very nicely. It works well.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
I think we've rambled on about our life for long enough.
So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show this time around. It should be definitely shorter than before. Should total to about 1 hour and 20 minutes or so.
I think it's about an hour.
Oh yeah, an hour maybe.
Regardless, that's it for today's podcast. We'll be uploading other portions of our ramblings throughout the week. So we will see you then.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks a lot for joining us, and see you next week.
We will unyu with you later.
Bye. Meow 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 meow